Are you looking to change your destiny in life? Be your own boss? Start your own business? If you are, you need people who understand your needs and are committed to helping you make it happen. At DKP & Co Chartered Accountants, we are more than just accountants. We are business advisors, taxation consultants, and strategists that specialise in setting up businesses. We understand the client and give them the very best customised advice and strategies to achieve their goals. Visit our website dkpco.com.au or give us a call today on 03 9023 9370. Fast, proactive, personal. That's DKP & Co Chartered Accountants.
Are you a professional optimised business? Time to look at Northern Peugeot Bandura to further professionalise your fleet with their updated commercial van range. The team at Northern Peugeot Bandura can help customise your fleet to your business needs. Stock arriving now, so secure your van and beat the rush before the end of financial year madness. Visit northernpeugeot.com.au or call 9119 9008. T&Cs apply. You're listening to the State of Our Football Nation on FNR. Oh, it's a bit like Christmas. We've been away. I've been away from the studio and I've missed it. Pokuah Frimpong is my co-host. Hello.
Hello, George.
Are you accustomed to having me in the studio? Can you cope?
We certainly missed having you in the studio. It's good to have you. It's good to have you.
That was a hoot.
It was good.
A lot of fun. And I want to say thank you to you for carrying the show and making it happen for the last couple of weeks. We had a couple of challenges that kept us busy and preoccupied, but we're back and we've got a program for you. An hour over the airwaves on FNR, Football Nation Radio. State of Our Football Nation is the theme that we talk about each and every Thursday. And Pokuah tells me that we have a couple of special guests. One I'm really looking forward... Actually, I'm looking forward to speaking to both of them for very different reasons. They come to us from two different areas, but both are very good at what they do. One is currently buoyant. Is that fair to say?
I think that's
we're talking about Richard Peil, the chair of the Central Coast Mariners, and the very good reason. We spoke to him very early on this year, and he told us about his new challenge, which was coming on board and making sure that the Central Coast Mariners could be the best team that, under his watch that it could be. And true to his word, and the efforts of not only the entire playing staff, but the coaching staff as well, they've made the grand final 2023. That's some effort, isn't it?
Absolutely, deservedly so.
They've played some outstanding football.
They certainly have. I
thought they were going to fall at the last hurdle against Adelaide.
Really?
Right?
I didn't think that.
They say that wonderful line, the more you play one team, right, you're bound to get the wrong result the next time. For example, the more often you play a side, the closer you are to a loss, yeah, if you've been beating them consistently. And Adelaide Reds have found a voodoo team, a hoodoo team, and it was the Central Coast Mariners all year. And I thought, how good is this going to be if they can make it 4 out of 4? And then I thought, that little thought in the back of your head, are the Reds going to get up and upset them in front of 20,000 fans at home? And, of course, the answer was, not on your life. That 20,000 crowd was superb, but so was their team.
I will say, George, I think the thing that was most impressive about that final series between those two was just the crowds at both grounds. They were both
tremendous.
Excellent crowds.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think it's the first time the Mariners had sold out their stadium, and Adelaide, we've seen them throughout the season have continued to get really, really good crowds and things like that.
Cooper Stadium has got to be one of the most wonderful grounds to go and watch A-League football.
Yeah.
The energy, it pulsates. I've been at that ground during an Olympics tournament. I've been there when they've had other special events, and it is a tremendous ground. And, of course, that surface has got to be one of the best surfaces to play on in the whole competition.
Yeah, I think that Coopers is what A-League stadiums should be like. They should be.
Every ground should be like that.
They should be small and intimate and create really great atmospheres. And I think I saw a comment on one of the A-League's posts, and this fan was like, we shouldn't have games at over 30K stadiums.
That's interesting.
Because I think that football is about the intensity of the fans, and I think that when you're having such much smaller grounds, I think Amy's a really good size.
Okay.
And
let me be a spoilsport and ask you this question, because I know you're going to have the right answer for me. If that's the case, how tough is it going to be for the Matildas to walk out to play Ireland in front of 93,000?
But that's a major international tournament.
Okay.
It's a major international.
So the rules suddenly change.
No, but that's a major international tournament. We're going to get lots of people traveling all over the world just to come and see us. But I'm talking about for our domestic competition and creating something that you can put on, social media and show people how incredible our sport is and how incredible the fans are. When you've got stadiums that small and that intimate and the fans are singing the whole game, you can hear it. It's so much louder, and I think that those are the kinds of places that
Lakeside Stadium, the stadium the Knights have, and the old Olympic Park were tremendous at generating a wonderful vibe once the crowd was involved and committed and focused, and it was like electric. And that's what we saw at both competitions. In both matches, both contests, the one in Adelaide, where the Central Coast Mariners reigned supreme, and again playing at home in the second semi-final, where the stakes were truly high, and Adelaide had nothing to lose. They had to go for it. I thought the daring of the Central Coast Mariners, of this young team, their daring and their run for the entire game was classic, was terrific, and probably one of the big reasons why they emerged victorious.
Yeah, I think a lot has also got to come down to Nick Montgomery and his coaching staff and how well they've drilled their team into understanding their responsibilities and how they should play the game. And I think when you do that to a side, when you make them understand why you're doing something and how it works effectively, when the moments get tough, obviously it wasn't, it was relatively comfortable for them in the end, I would say. In those pressure moments, you know what to fall back on. You believe in your system because you understand why you do that.
We've seen it this year with the emergence of Brighton Hove Albion in the English Premier League. They've been under a second coach because, remember, they lost their golden leader, Graham Potter, to Chelsea, and that turned out very poorly for Chelsea. Turned out all right for Brighton, though, because they brought a guy from Italy in called De Zerbi, and he's just continued to climb the ladder of success. Yeah. What have you made of his effort? You're taking on board what you just said. He's given each and every one of his players a reason to play that way, why he wants them to be as industrious, and why they play the game they play. The style of football. I think they're buying in, or they've bought in. They're so effective because they also understand where they are as a club and who they are as a club. And when you understand that you probably won't win the league, but you can be a damn competitive side, and they play a really smart brand of football. They do. It's very hard to emulate, but also it's a very simplistic game. It's simplistic, but doing the simplest things is also one of the hardest things to do in football. I think I understand where you're saying simplicity, but they have created some patterns of play that continually under pressure deliver, which is some feat. Absolutely. I think they're well drilled side. Yeah, they're well drilled. Do you think that month away, when the World Cup was happening, De Zerbi came in at that particular time, and I was listening to Pascal Gross, the German who plays for Brighton, saying that was vital. That 1 month they had away, or with a new coach, they got a chance to buy into his style of football and to understand the patterns that he wanted them to run.
I also think it helps that Graham Potter was a great coach for Brighton. He was.
No doubt.
But Brighton, they needed to make a step, and they struggled to make that step under Graham Potter. And I think tongue twist that one. His style of play was similar enough to Graham Potter's that it was easy for them to adapt to it, but it had certain tweaks that allowed them to advance and progress to being able to play Europa League next year, which is well deserved. And they've got players that they're probably going to sell, but they have such a great recruiting system. I think it's testament to the ability of clubs to understand and see value in players and see the long-term prospects and see what you need to do to make them better.
I think, is it Tony Bloom, the chair of Brighton Hove Albion? I think he's a very smart dude. They've been very astute, and he came out the other day and said, we're thrilled to bits with the Sherby. But it tells you a lot more. They've been really, really smart, and they've gone out and found these young boys. This young Paraguayan that scored a monster of a goal against Manchester City this morning. Well, I think he kicked the ball so hard, I think he got a hammy. But he lit the ground. They played, of course, at home this morning against the champions of the English Premier League, Manchester City. And I've got to tell you, at times they seem to frighten them.
Yeah, I think Brighton...
They took it to them.
Brighton, the likes of Brighton, Aston Villa and Fulham this year have made the Premier League even more exciting because for a long time, the group behind the top four, they were good, but you never thought that they could beat those top four sides. Whereas this year, when I look at them...
If you and I had had a discussion before the season started, there was no way we would have seen the demise of Chelsea.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have seen Liverpool falling as far as they did, for as long as they did. Mind you, they've bounced back brilliantly because on the backs of a number of wins, they've come home with a wet sail. But if you and I had said to you, listen, 2 or 3 clubs that you think are going to be locked into the top 6 are not going to be there, you would have gone, George, I don't know what you're drinking, but you need to cease and desist. and look at the scoreboard. Look at the Premier League ladder. There are names up there that almost defy gravity. It's incredible. But I think you're right, Aston Villa, where they were with Gerrard, scraping the bottom of the ladder, and now they're up there.
It shows that the power of having a really good manager.
Yep.
Because Unai Emery didn't work at Arsenal, and it was just probably the wrong time. He is an excellent manager, and Arsenal played some good football under him. But if you understood Unai Emery, you knew that he was a good manager because he did well at PSG. Probably he didn't get to what PSG's ultimate goal is, but he won the Europa League with Sevilla multiple times because he's a great manager. He understands his squad and he understands what he has. And Sevilla is much like Aston Villa in that they have a legacy. They probably aren't the top echelons, but they understand who they are.
I think you're right. He's got them playing at a level that almost fits their DNA. They're not playing beyond themselves, but they're playing at that keen level where they are competitive.
But they also feel
that's all you can ask.
And they also feel like a team that if they played one of the top 4 sides and they were playing at their best, they certainly could win that game, or at least they wouldn't lose, and you'd be like, oh, they never had a chance to win. And that's what I like about the Premier League. I like that there's more competitive nature about it. I think also, I just want to mention this, George. Obviously, I'm an Arsenal fan.
Yes.
I just want to say that football fans who love the Premier League should be at least grateful for Arsenal this year, because had it not been for Arsenal, Man City would have won the league in December and we all would have been bored and wouldn't have cared about the league.
Oh, no, we wouldn't have been bored because the relegation battle has also been extraordinary.
We know as football fans, the relegation battle is super exciting in the last 10 games of the season. But the rest of it, you're looking at who's going to win the league.
Well, yes, I concede all that, but I can tell you that here we are going into the last game of the competition, 38 weeks, and you've got 3 clubs, and they don't know. They simply don't know if next year they'll be Premier League aspirants.
And those clubs are obviously Leeds in 19th on 31 points, Leicester City 31 points
If I'm a
well.
Leeds fan right now, I'm always got a smirk on because they're playing Spurs.
Yeah.
And Spurs right now, can I say it? And I'm a Spurs man. We're a rabble at the back.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're a rabble at the back. And we're going to play away. It's not as if we're playing at home.
I will say that, exactly, but I will say that Leeds are probably, they're obviously in that, they're currently sitting there. Everton's the only one that's safe. Well, at the moment, they're out of it. I think that Everton will probably sitting there looking the happiest because they take on Bournemouth, and they have to win though because, you know.
Well, I'll get your picks before the competition finishes. We've got a special guest about to join us, but we're going to take a short break before we bring our special guest on. He's the chair of the Central Coast Mariners, Richard Peil. So stand by, wait for that. But before we do that, we've got the Northern Motor Group have been tremendous for us throughout the whole year, and they have been great fans and supporters of Football Nation Radio for a number of years now. And I've got some great news for you, Miss Pokuah, for Football Nation Radio listeners. Our supportive partner, Northern Motor Group, is offering $250 off any in-stock vehicle this end of financial year. That's if you take delivery before the 30th of June. Think about that. They've got 8 big car brands. We're talking MG, Nissan, Kia, Isuzu Ute, Jeep, Ram, Samyong, who make some wonderful cars, Peugeot, the great French group, and, of course, Pacific Caravan. So it is, if you think about it, a one-stop shop for all your driving needs. Plus, they've got over 150 quality pre-owned vehicles. The Northern Motor Group really does have, I would say, your next vehicle purchase ready and it's waiting. I would put it to you, Pokuah, don't wait. Why don't you visit the website? It's www.northernmotorgroup.com.au. Do it today. Do it tonight. They're at Grimshaw Street, Bundoora. And why don't you tell them that George sent you? Yeah?
Are you looking to change your destiny in life? Be your own boss? Start your own business? If you are, you need people who understand your needs and are committed to helping you make it happen. At DKP & Co Chartered Accountants, we are more than just accountants. We are business advisors, taxation consultants, and strategists that specialise in setting up businesses. We understand the client and give them the very best customised advice and strategies to achieve their goals. Visit our website dkpco.com.au or give us a call today on 03 9023 9370. Fast, proactive, personal. That's DKP & Co Chartered Accountants.
Are you a professional optimised business? Time to look at Northern Peugeot Bundoora to further professionalise your fleet with their updated commercial van range. The team at Northern Peugeot Bundoora can help customise your fleet to your business needs. Stock arriving now, so secure your van and beat the rush before the end of financial year madness. Visit northernpeugeot.com.au or call 9119 9008. T&Cs apply. You're listening to the State of Our Football Nation on FNR. The controversial grand final is happening in Sydney next weekend, not this weekend, next weekend. But the most exciting thing about the grand final is the 2 sides that have made it all the way there. One of them is the premiers, namely Melbourne City. But the other side is one of the youngest, most exciting teams to play football in this country in years. And their chair, the man who at the beginning of the season reached out to us at FNR and said, listen, we've got a job to do and I'm happy to talk about it. Well, he's back and he should be wearing the biggest smile you've ever seen. Richard Peil, welcome to FNR.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for the invite.
No, it's always a pleasure. You were tremendous when we reached out to you at the beginning of the year, and you told us very early on the sorts of standards, the sorts of things that you were contemplating, installing and making sure that the boys throughout the club adopted. And can I just say, to a man, they've carried it out and then some. Nick Montgomery, of course, his entire coaching staff, Andy Bernal, who's come on board, and every player, and even those boys that managed to play for Australia, for the Central Coast Mariners, they've been incredible. How are you keeping a lid on it until the grand final?
Oh, look, definitely keeping the lid on it because we've got a very tough game ahead of us. We're very, appreciative of the style of football that Melbourne City play, and they're the premiers for a reason. But in saying that, we're going there with no fear, and the team will be prepared to the nth degree, like they have been all season. And I think it'll be a great game. I mean, the game that we drew 1-1 at the stadium with Melbourne City, probably 4 weeks ago, I think is one of the best games in recent memory in Australian football. It was just an absolute end-to-end cracker and could have been 4-4, 5-4 if it wasn't for both goalkeepers who were absolutely outstanding. So keeping a lid on it, absolutely, because, we are definitely we've still got a lot of work to do as a club. But it's very exciting times. And I think the thing is, guys, is that really where I always believed that we would reach great heights as a club. Yep. We're probably just a couple of years ahead of schedule.
Yeah, I was just going to say, the blue and yellow army that you proposed to us would get up and start following the boys has got up all right, and it's been tremendous. Can you tell us, Richard, it means an awful lot. I've been an administrator at club level, and not in the elite league, of course, in the A-League. But I understand what huge crowds mean. I understand what every dollar through the gate means for the club, the volunteers, the catering groups and others who all buy in at the beginning of the season. What did that crowd of 20,000 mean to the Central Coast Mariners?
Well, what it meant to us was the support that those guys, having a full stadium, setting a record for the stadium and for our club. It meant a lot to the players, and it sort of is validation of the style of football that Monty and Serge have the boys playing. I guess the sort of unfortunate thing is that financially it wasn't rewarding for us personally. Because
that's true. It's the APL's gate as it was at Amy Park. Yeah.
And that's the way it is. I'm not complaining about it. That's the way it is. But I can tell you that it would have been very nice if we'd have set the 20,000 on our last home game or one that we actually benefited a little bit more from. But it now gives us a platform. It gives us a platform for next year. This year we set a platform of averaging 8,000 people to our every home game, and we believe that we can do 10,000 next year. So
wow,
it's given us a platform to build on for next year. But it was exciting, I can tell you. If you'd have told me 12 months ago when I took the club over that we'd set a stadium record within 12 months, I'd have asked you what you were taking. Because
Pokuah does that all the time.
I didn't think it was possible, George. I didn't think that was possible to do that so quickly. But what a great advertisement for the A-League in general, though, for the smallest club, youngest clubs, smallest budget, to get 20,000 people through the gate. I think it's fantastic.
Richard, I wanted to ask in regards, obviously, that is a tremendous achievement for the club and a great sign for the league heading forward. How do you as a club capitalise on it? What kind of things do you put in place to get more people to come to not just the finals games but be engaged throughout the whole season?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a great question. It's a hard one for me to answer it on a radio interview, but there was a strategy for this year. There's a very robust strategy. In fact, as soon as I hang up, I'm heading to a dinner with two of the my primary
sponsors.
I guess you'd call them advisors. I guess you'd call them.
Okay.
And we're sitting down and just making sure that we've double crossed every T and triple dotted every I for the grand final,
happy?
and exactly what you just said. Yeah, we want to make sure we capitalise on this. But yeah, the sponsors were happy, George.
Are they buoyant?
Very, very
are they keeping a lid on it, or are they just over the moon?
Oh, look, I think we're all keeping a lid on it because it is a bit like a fairy tale, to be honest. You know, I'll tell you my wife asked me about 4 months ago. Yeah, about 4 months ago, there was an overseas trip that she wanted to do with her best friend, her bridesmaid from our wedding, and she gave me the date, which is the weekend of the grand final, and she said, "Is there going to be anything that we're on?" And I said, "Look, I think you're pretty safe to." So my wife is.
So she's not here. She's not going to be here.
She's not going to be here, and boy, have I copped it from everybody on that one. But let's be honest. I mean, I believed we would get into the top four. You know, I was confident of that. With the age of our team, it was towards the back end of the season. You know, we like the last 5 games. I actually started really believing we could not only get to the grand final but give it a real shake. But I did not think that 4 months ago that we'd be making the grand final. I'll be honest.
Richard Peil is our special guest on Football Nation Radio's State of Our Football Nation, and we're talking about his club's fantastic contribution to the A-League season, and that is a magnificent competitive season that's seen them end up in the grand final. Richard, if you reflect on it, you've got this old guy in goals, guy called Danny Vukovic, who has been a Socceroo, who on his day can be just about unbeatable. I thought he was tremendous in what he had to do last week, in both those 2 legs, but last week at home, especially the little things that he had to do, he did meticulously. How's he coping, and is he reminding all the young kids that, hey, there's a little bit of work still to do?
Well, look, I think Vuka has been absolutely tremendous since he came back from the World Cup. I think there was a little bit of pressure on him, and social media around prior to the World Cup. Obviously I'm biased, but very unfair in my eyes. But to post the World Cup, he's been absolutely outstanding, and candidly, we would not be in the grand final without Danny Vukovic between our sticks. That's a fact. What I will say is that I've just played him and Sammy Silvera in golf, and I absolutely kicked their backside. So it's lucky that Sammy can score goals and Vuka can stop them because, mate, I smashed them on the golf course.
No second career for them in golf in their future?
Gee.
To be fair, actually, Sammy's a decent striker of a golf ball, but
does he play? Today, so. Does he? You can be honest with us. Does he play army golf? In other words, left, right, left, right, left.
Who? Sammy?
Yeah.
No. Sammy is an all-round athlete, George. He's one of those guys. If he picked up an ice hockey stick, I reckon he'd be decent at it.
Oh, yeah. He's wide enough.
And back to Vuka.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah. I mean, back to Vuka is, we have an amazing goalkeeper coach who we imported at the start of the year, Miguel Miranda, who modified Vuka's training loads. Vuka came to the club still wanting to train like a 20-year-old.
Yeah. And, it's in his makeup, his DNA.
It is, and it took a bit to get him to understand that he didn't need to train that way. And since he has, dropped back and taken days off when his body needs it, like I said, he's got a smile on his face. What a great season he's had. I'm so happy for him. He's really bounced back from post the World Cup.
So something Richard, George and I both like is we both enjoy Ted Lasso as a show. And something I've been seeing on social media a lot recently is when people are at in Gosford is that sign, that believe sign there from Ted Lasso. Whose idea was that? And does that really embody how this season has been for you guys?
It embodies probably, like I said, towards the back end of the season as we've just got better and better. Remember, we made some critical changes to our squad in the January window.
Yeah, you did.
A few players went out and we brought in Christian Theo-Harris, who has been absolutely outstanding for us coming off the bench.
Great pickup, yep.
Yeah, amazing pickup. And Jimmy McGarry from Newcastle, who was sitting on the bench up there and he has just lit up.
Yeah, he hasn't put a foot wrong. Has not put a foot wrong.
Been outstanding. And Dylan Wenzel-Halls, who hasn't had the same luck. He got injured on his first training session.
Wow.
But once those players sort of found their role in the team and we got all our players back from international duties, illness and injury, look, we actually just all started believing. Now, I'm embarrassed to tell you that I've only found out post us choosing that slogan that everyone's telling me that we've ripped off Ted Lasso, but it actually isn't the case. So I'm a little bit embarrassed. I've only watched one episode of Ted Lasso.
Oh, come on. Before the grand final, you've got to stream the entire series and it'll give you even more hope.
I can tell you why I can't watch it, guys. I have a big tattoo on my forearm of the Leeds United crest. I was born in Leeds, the same as Monty.
So what you're saying to me is that on the weekend when they play Spurs, my boys, you're going to be hoping that they can do the Ted Lasso and win and survive in the EPL.
Well, we did it last season, but to be honest with you, I don't think they deserve to stay up this season. The style of football they're playing is horrendous.
I think I agree with
embarrassing.
You, Richard.
Oh, wow.
I think our NPL side would have beaten them again the way they played last weekend against West Ham.
Come on, that was uncalled for.
Terrible.
But is he wrong, George? Is he wrong?
No, he's probably right. But geez, Chair, you've just got to push them occasionally and keep your fingers crossed.
So back to the Ted Lasso. Yeah. Obviously, we had an American coach, and I just could not watch Ted Lasso after watching what he was doing to our club. So,
look,
not a fan, unfortunately.
Yeah. Look, let's get back to the grand final. There was an awful lot of controversy, with some of the messaging. With many of the messaging from APL this year, and I don't want to get anyone into trouble, but do you think they'll reflect on what they did with their messaging? I understand Destination New South Wales jumped at the opportunity to host a grand final. That's what major events teams across Australia have done for the better part of the last 20-odd years and continue to do. They look at great opportunities to bring money into the state. And New South Wales, after the elections, of course, looking to garner, positive opportunities. And one of them was to have the A-League Grand Final in Sydney at one of the new stadiums. What did you make of that? Could it have been handled a little bit better?
I think we all think it could have been handled a bit better, even the people that were involved in handling it. I see there's a lot that when you sit down with the people that made those decisions, you can see the rationale behind it.
Yep.
I think we would all admit that the way it was announced, could have been a lot better. And I also see and understand the frustration from fans. So I actually can see it from all sides.
Yeah.
I hope that post this that we we can find a solution that can keep everybody happy. So I do think we need to look at it. I certainly am not going to be critical of the fans for their objection. I'm not going to be super critical of the APL for the decision. I am going to say that they should have absolutely consulted and announced it in a different manner than what they did. But
well said.
You know, it's Australian football needs to galvanise itself, George. You know, I've spoken to a lot of rugby league greats, you know, that laugh at the way we administer our game, and then candidly, some of the, I won't mention their names, but some of the top executives in the rugby league world, their biggest fear is that Australian football will actually get their game together one day.
Well, the AFL thinks the same thing too. They're fearful of the world game getting its act together. Look, I've said this to a couple of people only recently. The APL it's fledgling. It's been basically a 1 year out of this cesarean operation they had with Football Australia. They was finally separated after many years of talk. It's a big thing to actually have to stand up on your own 2 feet and find the resources that you need to run an elite sport in any marketplace. And the APL have had a number of things that have cropped up. And one of them, the primary one that you touched on, was messaging and consultation. I think they've learnt. I hope they've learnt, because if they haven't, then we really do have a problem. But what fascinates me now is this unique opportunity for the Central Coast Mariners Yellow and Blue Army to get coach after coach after coach, train after train after train, down to its CommBank for the grand final next week. Have you made plans?
Absolutely, mate. We were. Look, I'm not allowed to actually give the figures out, but I can tell you that that our
will it be a convoy, and do we have to worry about Meghan and Harry?
There will be a convoy, and we're coming, Sydney. We're bringing the coast down to you for a day, and it's going to be an event. It will look candidly. It'll be.
I'd bring down a couple of mini palm trees if I were you. If I was going to stick it to the media, I'd bring a couple of little mini palm trees, little pot plants, and say, "Look, it's the Gold Coast coming to Sydney."
I'm trying to get the cannon and the sauce bottles down there, mate. So, it's look. I'm so excited by how our crowd has responded to the early ticket sales. That's what I can tell you. It's blown me away. And I would say this, that those who want to be going to the grand final from the Central Coast that haven't got their tickets already, you need to get in and get them, because they are moving very, very quickly. So,
well, that's exciting. That is exciting.
Yeah, it'll be a great day. It's going to be a great day. I'm just so proud of the players. What have I done to get this team to a grand final? I can tell you what I've done, and that is make the decision to give Nick Montgomery the power to make the decisions on who he has around him, support him in his transfer market activities. I'd like to say I've done a lot more, but the reality is my main and possibly only contribution is supporting a guy who I've got the utmost respect for, as in my eyes the best football brain in this country. And let him go to work and do his stuff.
I can say as a chair, what you've done is, and Pokuah, this is the best part about being a chairman or chairperson, and that is you delegate. You bring smart people in, and you get them, and you invite them, and you offer them the opportunity to do their job. And this is what, Richard, this is what you've done. You've given your main man, Nick Montgomery, the energy, the belief, and the conviction that, yes, you believe in what he's doing, and if all things are equal, you'll get the results. And that's the most wonderful and exciting thing any business man or woman can offer any management team underneath them. I think it's look, the results. Pokuah has been a tough critic. of a lot of teams this year. But she jumped on board the first time we spoke to Nick, and you remember the interview, would have been very early on in the season. And Pokuah and I, not only throughout that interview got a sense that you had something special brewing, but we looked at one another afterwards and went, how good was that?
He gets it.
Yeah, and he gets it.
He gets it.
And he wants everyone else to get it. The only thing I want to do is, I'm not going to do it before the grand final, but after the grand final, I'd like to get Nick in a room for about half an hour and say to him, just take a breath. Yeah? You don't have to say everything all in one sentence. Just take a breath. We know that you love the game. We know that you know the game. Just do it justice. Have fun. Have fun, all right? Yeah. And he looked like he picked up a bit of that. Did you pull him to one side and have a gentle, just enjoy yourself, Nick? Just enjoy yourself?
Look, I can tell you one thing, George. I've been in business for 38 years and I've learned as much off Nick Montgomery about business than I have off any other individual.
How good's that? Yeah.
And I'm sure that he's picked some things up off myself, because the one thing that I remind him all the time, and listen, Nick and I are good mates. I think both being from Leeds, like I've said before, very similar backgrounds growing up. It's a very, there is a.
It's a hard school, isn't it? It's a hard school.
It is a hard school, mate. It certainly is.
To graduate, you've got to have something special, a bit of ticker.
Yep. But I, a couple of stages have definitely, tried to help him enjoy I guess, the ride a little bit more. But he's a self-reflective person too. Nick. He's he didn't really need me advise him that, because I think he realised himself at some stages that he did need to just relax a little bit more. But he's high. I'd love for you guys to come and watch a training session one day. And you'll see
the tyranny of distance. I've got to tell you, we'd love to do it. We will do it. We will make a point of doing it. But what's really exciting is there is a guy that you've got in that group, and they call him all number of things. His nickname is one that's been embraced by an awful lot of people in the marketplace. I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to say your striker, who is a character and a half, Mr. Hibernian, who's come down under. He's been a revelation. Is he the joker in the pack that keeps everybody loose?
Soccer, George.
I've been around sporting teams a lot. I conditioned a lot in the NBL scene, and I've been around playing in the NSL a little bit myself, and I can tell you, every team says this, but I can tell you this team is very, very close. They are a very close group of guys. There's a few jokers in there. The king joker is definitely Jason.
Jason.
But there are a number of really cool characters, and the thing that number one thing when Monty and Serge and Simo do their scouting, and they have their interviews with players that either we want to look at bringing in or want to come to us, the first thing they'll do is see if the person has good character. And if people don't have good character, they don't belong at the Central Coast. And we've turned down a couple of decent, relatively
decent footballers.
Decent footballers that just we didn't think would add to the
mix.
Spirit of the team and how we want to be. So it's an important club that we pride ourselves. Look, I'll tell you one thing, I posted this on Instagram, guys, and it just hit home to me that after we beat Adelaide 4-1 on the last game to qualify for Asia, it would have been a lot of young players could have got carried away and started the celebration early and got changed after the game, jumped on the bus and went. I can categorically tell you guys that dressing room was cleaner when our players left that dressing room than when they went in it, and they do that everywhere they go. Very much the New Zealand All Blacks sort of mentality.
Respect.
Where they,
And the Japanese do
respect.
it too. Yeah.
Yeah, respect for themselves, for the opposition, for the cleaners that have to turn up at the ground. There is not one piece of mud left on the floor. The reason I'm saying that, I think that shows the character that this team have, and it shows the culture that Nick and Serge and Simo have instilled, and Booker have instilled into this young group of players.
Wow.
To see Max Ballard and Nectar Triantis and all these young boys, you know, in there with the mop and searching for a brush to get all the mud up, you know. It's a pretty cool sight to watch that happening.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so great group of players.
Richard,
guys, great group of players.
You speak about how great these players are, and I was instantly reminded of that APL story I saw of Dan Hall and young Henry and that relationship and bond. And I want to ask about the connection with the community, because obviously that connection with the community is allowed to get that 20,000 fans at Gosford, and it's going to continue obviously to bring in more fans. But obviously the story with Henry, the young boy, you know, that's only one part of it. But how have you guys as a club done that and created such a great bond with community?
I've had chairmen of multiple clubs pull me aside after games or rung me during the week after games and said to me, Rich, how do you get the players to stay out on the field for 45 minutes, an hour after the game? And I just actually laugh because I don't get them to stay out. Most of those guys, some of them don't, some of them just do a quick lap, but a lot of those guys love walking around and having discussions with everybody that wants to talk to them after the game. You know, that's the type of people that we bring to the club, and it's the culture of the club. Like I said, that Nick and Serge make sure is evident every time at every opportunity. Obviously, COVID stopped a lot of the public engagements that we were able to do, but we made sure, you know, once we were allowed back out in the community, that we made sure that we were out every week. You know, players out to schools, out to charities, and doing a lot of public work. Guess who's just jumped in the car with me, guys?
Go on.
You want to say hello to Nick Montgomery?
Hey, guys.
Hey, Nick.
Nico,
Hi, boys.
Congratulations. Fantastic effort. And all the very best for the grand final. Richard was just telling us that the connection you guys have managed to instill at the ground and with your fans has made him feel very proud as a chairman. It must make you feel enormously proud to be their coach.
Yeah, we're all really proud and really proud of what we've achieved this season. But I think, like you said then, most importantly, that we've really connected with the fans and the community and brought everybody together. So it's it's been awesome. And again, you know, Rich coming in as a chairman and you know, his first year getting to a grand final. It's fantastic for him. And we just played golf as well, and he's not a bad golfer. So
I was just going to say, is you don't want the chair to dump on all your players and tell us how poor their stroke is or what sort of swing they've
he's
got.
not happy. He's not happy with me and Matt Simon, because on the last hole, obviously the boys were playing for a little bit of money in the kitty for the end of the season trip, and we might have given him a good chance to win, and Rich wanted us to beat him, so it was he wasn't too happy.
My teammates took a dive on me, guys.
Oh, this is cruel and unusual behaviour.
It is.
Nick, can I just jump in and ask a question? Pokuah and I have been telling Richard that from day one, when we got an opportunity to talk to you, you showed us and you gave us enormous time. You gave us an opportunity to cover as many topics as we could muster. And we were thrilled with the first interview, but you've done a number of interviews with us now, and we're more than fans of Nick Montgomery. We now are almost like preachers. We're saying to people, now listen, you don't create a group like that, and you don't grab that energy without someone instilling in them the special qualities. And Richard jumped in straight away and said, yeah, he's a Leeds boy. He's a Leeds boy. So what does it mean for you to look across the other end of the world? Leeds on tenterhooks. They've got to beat Spurs. And that's possible because they're playing at home, and Spurs are my team, and they're a rabble at the moment. And you are on the cusp now. Next week at Combank, you've got an army. It's a yellow and blue army and a convoy that I'm led to believe. The only thing missing is Meghan and Harry, who aren't coming down for a royal visit. But that should fill you with enormous pride, eh?
Yeah, it does. And look, football is a big part of my life. It always has been. So following, Sheffield United, my old club, back in the Premier League, and seeing Leeds, unfortunately on the cusp of relegation if they don't get some results. But that's football. They'll bounce back. And I grew up in Leeds, like Rich here as well, and we know how much it means to the city and the town, and what a fantastic club it is. But that's football. And yeah, it's what we're doing here is. We're on the obviously a week before a grand final, and yeah, we know we got a lot of support, a lot of fans, and it's going to be a fantastic occasion. So right now we're just looking forward to what an occasion it's going to be in 2 weeks' time down at the Combank Stadium against the biggest club in the league in Melbourne City. So yeah, it's going to be a great spectacle, and can't be more proud of the team and the club and the fans and everybody involved and associated with the club.
Have you got the boys back on the paddock this weekend? Have you got a game organised?
No, we're just internal. We just play internal. We train hard anyway, so nothing's really going to change. We'll just train all the way through, and yeah, we'll prepare for the game next weekend. So yeah, not much is changing, and yeah, we'll make sure that we're prepared come 3rd of June.
Jason, is he any good? I know he's a penalty taker and occasionally he does the Panenka, but how's his golf swing?
Not as good as we would have expected. We've got some good golfers, but yeah, Jason was his usual self, and just laughing and joking. And
so, who was the standout golfer, other than Richard, of course?
Well, other than Rich, was Sammy Silvera, Harry Steele. Yeah, we've got a couple of good golfers that I think they get out quite a lot and spend a lot of time together as well, which is a good thing because, the culture that we have, a lot of the boys spend time together, whether it's golfing, having a coffee, eating out, and that's obviously what makes the club special as well.
Pokuah's got something for you, Coach.
I just got to ask, Nick, now, obviously, you guys playing the grand final in a little bit, but something obviously pretty incredible happened last night. Not incredible, but pretty cool. Garang Cole scoring his first goal in Scotland. What were your thoughts and how happy are you for him?
Oh, really happy for him. Obviously, he had all this exposure and media attention, signs for Newcastle United, but he's still a kid. He's a young kid. He went over there and he goes to a club like Hearts where, yeah, it's not easy. The SPL's a tough league, and found himself sort of struggling and struggling to settle more than anything. You forget he's a 17-year-old kid that lived with his mum and young family, and all of a sudden he's in Europe and all eyes are on him. So I'm really happy for him to get his first goal and equaliser against Rangers. At Rangers at Ibrox, that's a massive moment for him, and hopefully now that can kickstart him, and the season's nearly finished, but he's got a big future. He's just takes time for him to settle, and we hope he kicks on next season.
FNR program, our special guests, Richard Peil, the chair of Central Coast Mariners, and the man who's jumped in the car with him is the coach, of course, the manager of the club, namely Nick Montgomery, who's just been amazing. Can you take us back 5 minutes before the end of full time last week? And you've got it in the bag, but you also know that the game can throw up, awkward things. What were you thinking to yourself the last few minutes? Can you take us back and play those minutes for us?
Yeah, look,
were you trying to keep calm?
Yeah, look, we knew we had an advantage going into the game. It's not easy going to Adelaide and winning, which we'd done, twice in the space of 2 weeks. So we just sort of needed that first goal, and I think when Sammy Silvera popped up with the first goal, it really did put us in cruise control. And yeah, towards the last few minutes, I was looking around at the stadium, just knowing that we'd achieved what we set out to at the start of the season, and that was to get to the grand final. And just looking at the atmosphere and the fans and a club that had just been totally galvanised, and just seeing the joy on everybody's face and anticipating that final whistle. And when it went off, I think that the whole roof came off the stadium. And it was an amazing moment and emotional for quite a few of the boys, as you saw. And to get to the grand final, some players never get there in the whole career. Some coaches never get there. So it's a monumental moment and one that we savoured afterwards. But we also know the job's not done. So it's full steam ahead for the final.
Now, Nick, I've just got to ask, one of my favourite videos on the internet is Jose Mourinho sprinting to Roma after I can't remember what game they won. Nick, if Central Coast are able to get the win in the grand final, are we going to see you do a sprint down the line to the fans? Are we going to see
just don't do a hammy?
Yeah, are we seeing the hands raised? Have you got a celebration that you would go to?
Look,
tell her nothing. Tell her nothing, Nick. Don't tell her anything. She's going to have to watch. She's going to have to watch.
If anybody's followed this season, they saw that I got sent from the technical area once for throwing my arms up, and that meant I got sent from the technical area for a second yellow card. It cut me out of the ruling for any awards this season. So I definitely won't be running out of the dugout. I'll probably get banned for 6 months in Australia. So I'll have to behave for sure.
Oh no! Listen, it's fantastic to be able to reflect on those final few minutes. The club has done a marvellous job to get 20,000. Was it? You see, we watched it on television. Was it as electric as people are saying?
Yeah, it was. It was honestly, you just feel the anticipation, and everybody was just buzzing around the ground, and seeing the photographs after of the streets packed and the fans marching to the game. It was a spectacular occasion. But you just feel it when you go out on the pitch. You just feel it, the tension in the air and the buzz, and it really was a special night. And I think it's a night that them 20,000 will never forget, no matter what happens for the rest of their lives. They'll always remember being there that night. The night that the Little Mariners, get to the grand final 10 years after the last got there.
Richard Peil said to us that the game you played against Melbourne City a few weeks back was one of the best games of the season. That is about right. That game could have been anything. The scoreline did not reflect the quality of the match, did it?
No, everybody says that was the best game they've probably seen in the A-League in terms of a spectacle and two very, very good teams going at each other, attacking football, good players on show, young players, energy. And when you watch back after the game, I must agree, it could have been 4-4, it could have been 4-3 to us. I felt we could have won the game. We had a couple of point-blank chances towards the end, but when you look at the quality of the game and the speed of the game, it was really, really high level, and everybody said the same thing. So
I want to correct you on that, George. I said it was the best game I've seen in recent memory. I think it was an absolute bloody fantastic game. That
you're underselling it, George.
I'm underselling it. I love that.
I think you are, and I will tell you this. I actually
Richard.
believe it. Well, I think it probably put an extra 4,000 or 5,000 people in the stadium last weekend, because and I'm not making this up, after that Melbourne City game, you could be sitting in cafes the whole following week and you would hear conversations at the adjoining tables, people talking about, did you go to the Mariners? How good was the game? Like it was. I think it added a lot, probably 5,000 people to last week. Well, and that's, like I said to you before, guys, that's a
credit. That's a credit to the organisation and to everything you guys have instilled from day one.
Well, the one thing I said to you at the start was my contribution to the quality of football and that we're doing was giving Monty full autonomy, and Serge full autonomy to make the decisions on everything football. And I think when I see games like that, when I see the games about when we beat Adelaide 4-1 in Adelaide, that is top class, top shelf football for anywhere in the world, and that's why I continually say that Monty and Serge are on borrowed time in the A-League.
You are right. You are right in one other regard too, Richard and Nick. I hope you're still there, because I think that game in Adelaide was a statement for the season. That was remarkable. Very few teams go to Adelaide. In fact, very few teams go away from home and announce themselves in the fashion that you did. That was an amazing contest, and you had the full crowd at Cooper Stadium packed in, expecting the Reds to win, and you took it to them and you belted them. And that's one of the best teams in the competition. So, credit where credit's due. It was a sparkling contest with some cracking goals.
Yeah, look, we knew going into that game, the pressure on the game was us, Adelaide and West Sydney. We needed to win the game. And look, the boys have, whenever I've asked them to make a statement, they have. And again, I think that was the biggest statement we made all season, because nobody expected us to go there and beat Adelaide, let alone turn them over like we did. And obviously Wanderers were away at Melbourne City, and yeah, it was 2 games at the same time, and yeah, we needed to win the game, and that's the pressure I put on the players, and that's the way that we are, and we knew what was on the game. So for the boys to perform the way they did, that was testament to them, and to book us that second spot, Asian Cup spot, and through to the automatic semi-final was just rewards for the effort over the season. And that was a special night, and one that we really did make a statement that we're coming and we're going to get to the grand final and we're going to try and win it.
That's the other thing we should not forget, the fantastic impact you've made by finishing second. You are automatically in Asia. Yeah,
it's a massive achievement for the club. When I came over 10 years ago as a player, to play in that Asian competition was a great experience and exposure, not only for the club, for the players, for the country. So to get back in that again and represent the Mariners, in Asia is amazing.
Well, you've got work to do, gentlemen. You've got another week to get through. Good luck on the weekend with all the festivities. Once again, congratulations to the sponsors and to everyone else involved with the club, all the volunteers too, Richard. I'm sure from your perspective, you'd be thrilled to bits to be able to say to everybody associated with the club that, hey, it's been one heck of a journey, but as Nick keep reminding us, you've still got unfinished business. You got a grand final, Combank Stadium, and as you touched on very early on, the convoy is coming. The blue and yellow army is gathering, and it will be a most memorable grand final. We wish you every success.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All the best.
Talk after the grand final.
You got it. Richard Peil and Nick Montgomery joining us. Nick unexpectedly just jumped in the car.
A welcome surprise.
Yeah, exactly. They've just had a big golfing day, and apparently Nick was very keen to tell us just how the boys had gathered.
Are you good at golf, George?
I used to play an awful lot of golf.
Yeah.
But what happens as you get older, your body gets injured more often, and you have to. I need to be in a good group.
Yeah, okay.
If I'd had half a dozen of these guys take me around play golf, yeah, you sort of lift yourself for that contest. But no, playing. Yeah,
I'm a shocker. I'm absolutely sorry.
But if you want to come and play a round of golf,
no. One of my great friends is really, really great at golf. She's fantastic.
Well, you can leave her at home.
Yeah, she was great. I'm horrible. Don't ever take me. I'll hit a tree. We're all finished. I'll take everybody out.
No, that's why they put trees in there.
Nope. I'm out, George. Not a chance. Not a chance.
Pokuah Frimpong, as usual, has been my co-host at FNR. We had hoped to bring you another interview. But again, there's been an emergency and a loss in the family, and our sympathies go out to the family. We hope to bring you that interview when we can. Our condolences and sympathies to our special guest who was going to join us, and it was Benita Mercedes from Sydney. But they've had a tragedy in the family, unfortunately, and lost a precious member. And our thoughts and condolences to her family and those people that know the young man involved. Terrible to lose anyone at any time, but in the middle of the year, the sorts of thing you don't want to hear. Once again, thank you very much for joining us. Pokuah, until next week, we've got some work to do, but hey, we've got a grand final coming up.
We do. Very excited.
All the best. You're listening to the State of Our Football Nation on FNR.